apparently.
That is a broom.
I mean, it looked like you were like,
shovel,
I was like, I gotta shovel this dead body. And
Wow, that took a dark turn. Let's talk about the Forge of Champions. Obviously, this is a new UK tournament brought to you by LVP UK, and obviously it has got plenty of action for those of you at home that might want to get involved. You've thought yourself a good solo queue player, maybe even found yourself potentially in some amateur tournaments from time to time, but the Forge of Champions is where you can strike your stuff. So let's have a look and explain how it works exactly, because that is what we need to be very aware of, because it is moderately complex, and as soon as we get into the position where we can talk about it, I will. Usually we have like a little graphic come up, and this is where I was hoping the graphic was going to appear. Oh, it's appearing right now. There we go. So the Forge of Champions is split into 4 individual tournaments, each of which has its own unique rewards. Now, every tournament has an open and a scoring bracket, and these are the 2 individual stages of each one. The open stage takes 64 teams from across the UK and Ireland and allows them to compete for a spot in the subsequent scoring stage. The top 8 teams from the tournament will qualify and are seeded based on their finishing position in the open bracket. The scoring stage takes the 8 open teams and matches them with 8 invited teams from the previous Premiership. Here the teams from the open bracket play a round of 16 with teams earning points based on their final position at the end of the tournament. The top 8 teams from this bracket will also earn a chunk of our £50,000 prize pool, so you'll go home a little bit better off after each tournament. The points ramp up over the 4 tournaments, meaning the further you go in the latest tournaments, the more points that you get. And if you get the most points, the top 8 teams will qualify for our grand final bracket. This playoff bracket will decide our overall champion, as well as who takes away the lion's share of that £50,000 prize pool. Teams also have an added incentive to play, with 2 European Master spots up for grabs. The team with the most points at the end of the tournament stage will automatically qualify, and our second spot goes to our overall champions. So it is confusing, but once you break it down, it's a really open and cool system for people at home that want to get involved. And speaking of getting involved at home, you can go to forgeofchampions.com and sign up. You can either sign up as an individual player, or you can sign up as part of a team, or if you want to find a team, it will automatically match you together and put you in a preset team of people based around your elo. Before we move on though, it's really important you guys at home realize that just because we are halfway through the tournament stages, it does not mean that all hope is lost for getting to our grand finals. Believe it or not, based on what happened throughout this tournament and based on what happened in the last tournament, every single team is basically at a level average of points. And obviously, as you know, over the course of the 4 tournaments, as we are just coming to the end of the second, the points that you can achieve based on your finishing position ramp up. So the points that you get at the end of the tournament 1 for coming first, the points that you get at the end of tournament 4 are roughly double. So you can basically make up everything that you might have missed in the next upcoming 2 tournaments. So if you fancy yourself getting together a team, giving it a shot in the open bracket, coming into our scoring stage and attempting to get some points on the board, you could still make our grand final. You could still take home money from that £50,000 prize pool. Now is a better time than ever to sign up and get involved in Forge of Champions.
yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's such a good opportunity. It's so good to see kind of being able to pull in teams that haven't been around the scene for so long and really give them that opportunity to run with the big boys.
Absolutely. Now, final bit of housekeeping before we move on. If you want to get involved on social media, you can go to Twitter at LVPUK, and you can also use the hashtag ForgeChampions, and specifically ForgeChampions2. Also, if you want to check out any of the VODs that you might have missed from Forge of Champions broadcasts, go to YouTube and type in LVPUK, and you will get access to every single game played by every single team on stream so far. It's a good way to review what you've done, but also a good way to catch up on that action, like I said. And also, as before, want to get involved and talk to us, talk to the team behind the scenes, talk to anybody who's currently watching. The hashtag is Forge of Champions 2. And believe it or not, for the 3rd tournament and the 4th tournament, that will be Forge of Champions 3 and Forge of Champions 4. There you go. So, we done all our housekeeping. That is all swept away.
So we can put the shovel back.
We can put the shovel back. Shovel out whatever I was shoveling in the house. And now we can talk about the upcoming match, because obviously we have just one game today. And you'll see from the bracket which one we're going to talk about. It is XL versus Enclave. It's the only game that we have today. It'll be starting as soon as we can. I think scheduled to start in about 10 minutes time or so. And it is a best of 5 grand final for winner takes all. Well, not winner takes all. Winner takes the lion's share of the points and the prize money here in the qualifying tournament too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good matchup to see. Enclave, weren't looking so well. They were looking very good yesterday, but you could see that they still had issues in around that mid game where they couldn't quite close out as smoothly as they would have liked to. And I think that's going to be interesting to see against Excel, which are kind of, they have shown that they are fallible. They had some questionable decision making as well around those points. So I want to see how these two teams match up when they come together.
And that's the big thing as well. Like when you look at yesterday's semi-finals, Enclave had a much easier time than XL. XL had a much longer, dragged out, big mistakes from themselves as well as capitalizing on other ones. I feel like XL actually had kind of got the better experience, if you like. But both sides have weaknesses, both sides have strengths. It's about how they come in with a game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a gym top, by the way,
because they're both really unfashionable.
Hey, mine's quite cool. I like mine.
I just forgot to get changed.
I
was sitting at the desk doing some prep. I was sitting at the desk and doing really hard prep, and I just forgot to get changed.
Yeah. Lost in your notes.
So it was about 1 minute to go, and then I said, I haven't actually got changed.
At least it's the right way around.
Yeah, exactly. It's not inside out. I have had the habit twice while I've been in Barcelona here of wearing my shirt inside out outside in the public, which is a classic scoundrel thing to do, really. Anyway, XL versus Enclave, we talked a little bit about how we feel, and we talked a lot about yesterday, what we expected coming into this matchup. Just before, I'm not going to actually make you make predictions right now, but I want your gut instinct. Who do you think takes this?
I think XL. I think they just played so well yesterday, and they look like a different beast altogether from what we'd seen in previous ones. I think they just look so strong.
I gotta go on the XL train as well, because it's just the kind of how they took their kind of their problems in games, how they dealt with it, how they literally came in with game plans every single time. They just seemed like a much more cohesive unit, and I just feel like they'll have Enclave's number.
I think gut instinct wise, I feel the same way. I did think the Diabolos would beat XL yesterday, so that's kind of changed how I've approached this XL roster, who seem to be coming into their own. One of the major reasons I think Enclave dominated yesterday is that they just preyed on a poor top lane from Hyperion, and Rifty had a field day. You're not going to get that versus Sendo. Sendo is solid. I mean, he's played LCS, 100% G2 win rate from LCS in his one game that he played.
Statistics-based analysis.
Statistics-based analysis. 100% of the time, that makes him the best top laner that LCS has ever seen.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Rifty will have the same time playing that. I also think the draft from XL isn't so limited anymore, because Kremel, who now plays for Berlin International Gaming, XL felt like he was a crutch to their draft because you had to draft around him a little bit. Apparently smurfing in Germany now, by the way, so I don't know, maybe he's expanded that with the new meta and stuff. But also Ferndog's a very good drafter, like really calculated, knows his stuff, and so I think this will be a much more even matchup across the draft, which I felt Enclave had the number every time yesterday versus Hyperion.
And that's the thing as well. I think what makes XL such a scary team is their backhouse staff, is the fact that you have Ferndog, who's just known throughout the UK scene as like, this guy will just tear your draft apart and he will get everything he wants while giving you nothing. And you don't even realize it. It's within the first, before you even enter game, he's almost kind of mentally won against you. So I'm curious to see how does Enclave really approach the draft, because I feel like games could be won and lost before we even hit the Rift.
Yeah, and look at the way we saw them draft yesterday. We were like, okay, cool, so the Vladimir's come through. Great, it's Rippy on the Vladimir. And next thing, Venzer, who's been on these traditional ADCs for ages, comes out and he's on the Vladimir. He even had the Swain before that remake as well. So
he didn't want to play the Vladimir.
I know, he didn't want to, but whether you're kicking and screaming, he was still on the champion.
And they did lose that game. And this is something that I feel like we need to bring in, because one of the XL's glaring weaknesses is themselves. Like the main mistakes that XL IC make is because they're tilted, or they're just constantly upset with the decision that they've made already, that they could have come back from, and they constantly feel like they need to keep up and make up from that decision. Especially Taxa. Taxa is a jungler who I feel like if he messes up, punishes himself hard for it. Feels like he has to make a big play to get back into the game, and then constantly feeds. And that's what we saw in the Nocturne game. It felt a bit like that.
Yeah, and he did it twice. I mean, Quickset's ultimate wasn't up on the Shen. The Stand United was available, I think, like 6 seconds after he died. I was like, just hang on, just wait a couple of seconds. But you see the call wasn't there, and he just went for it.
And that's the thing as well, like, you need to keep your players in check as well, because you can have the most fantastic draft ever, you can get everything you wanted, but if your players are kind of getting frustrated and they're kind of like doubling down on the fact it's like, oh, that play didn't work, let's do it again, but this time I'm going to completely screw the cooldowns, it can lead to, like yesterday in Game 2, where Diablo's just constantly, capitalizing on those mistakes.
Let's flip the switch a little bit here and look to Hyperion, because obviously I think a lot of us feel like XL is favored coming into this matchup, but Hyperion, whilst look untested, obviously are a very cohesive, strong team that know how to close out an advantage. What do you think that they bring to the table here that's going to be a major advantage to them versus XL?
I think it's kind of hard to talk about. If you're looking at Enclave, they've got like a very strong top lane Rift if you can get him going, but against Sendo, again, we're already kind of saying that's going to be tough. I think the bot lane is kind of really the shining light for me. I mean, Bendy's looked so strong in that Lucian pick every time he's got his hand.
You've got to ban it.
That's what I'm thinking, and I mean, then you're kind of leaving yourself open though, because it's not like Lucian isn't the penultimate ADC anymore. There are other things that are coming through, like even when we're looking at LCK today, you're starting to see like the Caitlyn making her way back in. There's other picks that are there.
Shame it sucked.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean? It's still like
it was
other things there. Yeah.
It was the only game Katie lost. But you know, you're right. Xayah coming through as well.
Exactly,
she was super strong today in LCK, and we saw a lot of variation on their take on the meta as well. I agree. You know, and Bendy for me has been that standout performer for Hyperion. I think
for Enclave.
Yes.
For Enclave. He's been the stand-up performer for Enclave, and I think if you look back at the games, while Rifty took the limelight and had some incredible plays on Darius, it was because DanXD literally inted him in lane, you know, and that was kind of how it was. Whereas Bendy, if you look back across some of the games, he actually had really clutch teamfight moments. He 1v4'd a couple of fights on his Lucian. You're smiling at me in a really weird way, and it's moderately off-putting.
It's just his face. Come on, man.
I was building a point in my head. I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm going to come in with something good because I did research.
Hit me with your point.
Yeah. Well, my point is basically like Bendy hasn't been...
just like this. I want to show you what Blood Penguin looked like, just staring at me in the eyes while I was talking.
It's called the dead stare, you know? You got to hit him with the dead stare.
This is what he looks like when he looks
I didn't want to scare them, you know? You're one person, there's several hundred.
You're just staring into the souls of the people at home now.
That is what Blood Penguin was doing. So I was trying to look him in the eyes and talk, but it was really off-putting.
Yeah, it was.
Hit me with your point.
I've forgotten it. I've forgotten it. If I come back with it, I won't look at you. I'll stay with our fantastic
just smile at the camera and stuff.
It didn't even blink. It was just this. It was this slightly turned smile, and I thought he was laughing like internally, and I couldn't work out why. Right.
Anyway,
but Bendy is a great player. Yes.
Okay, right,
yeah.
we're good. Yeah, Bendy's a great player.
Yeah, go Bendy.
Well
Enclave, Bendy.
Beautiful
awesome.
segue.
Quality player. In terms of draft, though, I mean, XL have shown that they have the ability to play away from that funnel composition that they've played really well on. Hyperion, I wouldn't say they have felt one-dimensional, but they haven't shown us much else apart from this Bendy Lucian and Rifty. This Bendy Lucian, that sounds quite funny. And then Rifty, and then Rifty playing a sort of semi-carry orientated top laner. Yeah. Do you think they've got more surprises in the bag for us? Because they have had a surge in performance from Split 1, or rather Tournament 1 to Tournament 2 here, as have XL. So these are two on-form teams right now.
Well, I think you kind of got to look at the games even yesterday that they had, where Aaron picked up the Yasuo twice in a row, and that was a very early lock-in as well. So they were just like, no, you're on Yasuo. We're comfortable on this. We want to go with it.
That's interesting, because XL also showed it a favour towards Yasuo as well. That'll be maybe a point of contention between these two teams.
I remembered my point.
Hit me with it.
Too late, we moved on.
Bendy, in terms of the tournament so far, hasn't really been challenged in the laning phase, and I want to see if XL can bring that to him, because right now, as I said, he's been the star performer. He's been Enclave's kind of, you know, cornerstone of how they get ahead. It's like, cool, top lane, fair enough, yesterday was a little bit of a blip in the water, but if that goes even, if mid goes even, bot lane, awesome, they're ahead, we've got something to work from. I want to see if Venzer is able to push him there, because Venzer has told, you know, on Twitter, on many different people talking to him, he feels like he's able to carry XL. He's finally in a position where he's comfortable doing that. I want to see him, you know, the proof in the pudding. I want to see him take it to Bendy and really kind of show, cool, mate, you're an Optic Academy, but now you're in Europe.
So, you don't have to listen to us talk anymore. Picks and bans are underway, and you can see very quickly Lucian was the first ban for XL. Yeah. No surprises there. Followed up by Zoe, which probably a little shout out to Eren. He does play a mean Zoe, and I don't think Rippy's had the best performances on it as of late. And the Morgana ban comes through. Maybe for Quickseth, I think, specifically, though.
XL are having kind of like PTSD from yesterday when Diablos got Zeph on Zoe, and it was just like 15 kills.
Yeah,
like, no,
that's just not
he's a good Zoe, get it away. Don't want it.
Sejuani ban comes out against Monk. And actually, I'm already liking the way that XL approached this draft more so than anything. Monk has shown that he is a very proficient Sejuani player, loves to be that supportive jungler. And immediately, XL lock in the Swain. Gosu, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think we saw this yesterday. I think that is going down to Venzer in the bottom lane, and there's a couple of different matchups you can go with. We saw the Shen come out for them there. Swain Fiddle is also very, very strong at the moment. So something that just provides CC can really just upset that bottom lane. And you were looking for your proof in the pudding. This is kind of something where Venzer, if he can get that opportunity quick set, can actually take those fights in the bottom lane against Bendy and Hado.
Yeah, that's very interesting that we see the Yasuo locked in again for Enclave so early on. They have that flexibility with that pick also. The Alistair comes out now, so the Alistair-Yasuo combo, something that is very powerful in the bot lane specifically, but powerful across compositions in general, has now gone through for Enclave.
Yeah, I think it's kind of Hado wanting to go, okay, we saw Quickset have this big Alistair setup for the Yasuo yesterday, but now we want to see if we can get it for Bendy and Hado this time around. So, sorry, for Aaron and Hado even this time around. But actually, we could see it on
was
Bendy,
just going to say, is like, we don't know if Bendy's been trying that, and this could be literally like what we saw XL run yesterday in the sense of like, we're going to put it in the bot lane, and it's just going to be a roaming death squad. Alistair just jumps in, gets a 2-man, 3-man knock up. Yasuo comes in out of nowhere, huge amounts of damage, and lets the rest of his team kind of pick up the kills.
And so we're seeing here from XL, the Gragas gets locked in. What would you want to see from them as a last pick here? Maybe a support so you don't get things, or maybe even the Vladimir. So that is I'd imagine a Gragas jungle, because they probably want to try and see if they can wait for their top lane hand as long as possible. But that actually, Swain and Vladimir can flex very easily between mid and AD carry now.
So what I'm trying to figure out is XL have gone, if it is Gragas jungle, this is an incredibly AP heavy team. So I want to see some sort of AD come in here. Because don't forget, like champs like Mundo and stuff are still up, so you're never going to get through him if they do lock that in right now. So I think if I'm looking at it, it could also be, you know, Gragas top, Vladimir, or bottom. I suppose. I
think from what we know, from what we heard from Benzi yesterday, you give Rippy Vladimir.
Yeah.
Rippy had the better performances on Vladimir and had a really good matchup.
The Swain can still go top. Like, it is not unheard of. It is not exactly ideal given the meta right now, but if they are, as you say, incredibly AP heavy, it might just be kind of a bait to say, oh, it's either the Swain going bot, definitely. Lol, JK, we're actually going to go with the Ezreal and actually catch you out.
Shen banned by Enclave here, so they know that Shen is something that XL do like to favor, especially for Sendo. He does actually like Shen. Darius getting banned now as well. Now, I'm wondering whether XL actually want the Mundo here. It would be risky, in my opinion, to try and go for the Mundo when you know Enclave have got the first pick on this next scenario. So the Darius ban does lead me to believe that it will be Sendu playing either a tank or a carry-orientated top laner potentially, that does, because Darius generally tends to destroy most melee matchups. So I'm interested in this.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if that Fiddle ban would come through inside of Enclave after Quickset's game yesterday, but I do agree with you. I think you need something that's going... see, if you're going with the Mundo on the side of XL, like, you've just got all-in AP, and that's kind of scary. So yeah, they're going to get rid of the Mundo. So I want to see what they're going to bring out this time around. I think if you're looking at, like, Varus has been pretty strong. I actually don't think... Ashe would be the worst in this situation as well, and just kind of going for that more utility style AD carry, because you've got a lot of damage. Like, Gragas does a good chunk coming out of the jungle. You've got Vlad and Swain there already. You don't need a huge amount more damage on the team comp that you have at the moment.
Varus comes in through as the locked in AD carry, so that probably confirms that it's either going to go top or mid, because again, Rifty can and will play Yasuo in the right circumstances. And I think, given that assuming this is going to be Vladimir mid, the Yasuo matchup isn't so awful for... the Vladimir matchup is pretty good for the Yasuo if he can get on top and constantly apply pressure. And I think that the way they've set this up, XL are maybe looking for a carry-orientated top laner. The Pyke comes through, though, for Quickset.
I was so happy. I love Pyke.
That's the AD damage as well that you need, too.
Yeah, I love Pyke's champion, particularly if you pair it with something like Swain. You get the Bone Skewer, you pull him towards you, then you've got another pull towards you because of the Swain passive, then you got the Never move, and it's just like, you are just decimated.
I don't mind Camille here, by the way, because Camille's got a good matchup into the Yasuo. I mean, Camille destroys Yasuo, really.
Yeah, pretty hard.
And that now means that Rifty's got to take a matchup that is either Yasuo, which is bad, into Camille, or he now has to find something that he wants to play in the top lane, and that puts Yasuo into the mid lane here. So actually, I think this is a good draft from XL. It has forced the hand from Enclave a little bit. They don't have the flexibility they might have wanted, and now they're looking to make their final pick. That's a good matchup, though.
Yes.
That's a good matchup.
I was just about to bring it up, and then I saw him hover it, and I was like, no, he's going to pick it. It's guaranteed. But, you know, both these drafts incredibly strong in their own rights. I don't think anyone's unhappy with what they got. Like, you know, the Yasuo going over to Enclave. Aaron is incredibly comfortable on that. We saw him play it twice yesterday. Can be a little bit over-aggressive, but that's neither here nor there. Varus, you know, a lot of utility, a lot of kind of, you know, good execute damage as well with those Blighted Quivers and the Q stacking on top of it. But on the other side as well, XL, you can nearly say they got all the OPs. You know what I mean? They got the Vlad, the Swain, the Gragas, the Pyke. Like
I talked a lot about Diabolus drafting low damage output compositions. XL have drafted one of the highest damage output compositions I have ever seen hit the Summoner's Rift.
The problem for XL, though, is that I feel like in a very long extended fight, if they get kited out, they will lack that kind of range damage where they can potentially be taken down. But they've so much engaged, so many ways of jumping on people that it shouldn't be a huge issue.
My worry is that they are very susceptible to the Alistair Yasuo. If any of them get engaged on first, like the Pyke, the Swain to an extent, they are sitting ducks for Yasuo to just eat up, and a lot of this very late game scaling stuff coming out from XL here, like they do not come online early with this composition. You've got Swain and Vladimir as your main carries. Camille does spike pretty decently after 1 to 2 items, but Swain and Vladimir 2 items plus are really needed for you to get your full potential, whereas you're looking at Enclave, if they capitalize on their laning phase, get to the mid game, Renekton, hard mid-game spike. Yasuo, decent mid-game spike into late-game powerhouse as well. Varus is a 2-item AD carry. You know, you get those 2 items, and he starts to chunk too. That is a composition that if you win that laning phase, you dominate from that position forward. Enclave could just run away with this before XL even get the chance to come online here.
There is still that from Enclave, though, where it's very much a case of here's our big setup coming through, where we've got the Alistair knock-up for the Yasuo, then you got the Chains of Corruption coming through as well. And I feel that with what XL have drafted, it's kind of hard to continuously lock up these champions. Like, Vladimir will have the pool, more than likely working up towards the Zhonya's. You'll have the Zhonya's on the Swain as well. So these are guys that are not going to be easy to take down in one big burst, because you've still got a lot of sustain that can come through, a lot of lifesteal, and you've got the protection coming through from both the pool and the Zhonya's. So I think this is going to be a very much a case of how quickly can Enclave burst down people so they don't have that, you know, the safety mechanisms there. And I think it does come down to, as you were saying, if they win lane hard enough and you don't get to your items as the Swain and the Vladimir and that, you don't have that safety, the health to just survive that initial big burst of damage that comes through, Enclave can just run away with it. But I think XL still have tools there that they can play around with if the opportunity arises. And I do like the way they drafted the Pyke with this as well. Like, Vladimir and Swain can do very well with big burst damages. You got the Hemo Plague that comes down, and when you pop the ultimate as the Swain, you got that big burst damage as well. And when you have all these massive AoE bursts coming down, it's lovely to have the Pyke there with the ultimate to just start picking off the last remaining guys as well. Yeah, exactly.
But as well, just looking at XL, there is so much self-healing. There is so many ways for them to individually keep themselves topped up as well. So I actually want to see Enclave pick up, like, if not every single person, top, mid, and bot, pick up Executioner's Calling super, super early. Otherwise, your Vlad, your Swain, even your Gragas as well, just has so much ways of just kind of like sustaining through the lane that it's going to become so difficult for them to actually catch pitch.
I think Yasuo or Varus could definitely pick that up. I wouldn't bother for Rifty because he's probably going to want to be 1v1 versus the Camille most of the time, and he's there for burst damage. When you're playing Renekton, you go in, you have Fury enhanced Q and Fury enhanced W. That's where you just like slam down and hit hard. Having a look just based on that, I mean, where do you think jungle pressure is going to come up for these guys? Do you think you invest them into Rifty Sendo matchup, knowing that that's a lane that can run out of control? What would you be looking for, Rob, in terms of applying pressure?
So if I'm actually on the side of XL, I know this sounds weird. I'm not looking to apply a huge amount of pressure. I'm actually looking to get in and get vision down so then we can have defensive wards set up. I'm not looking to fight because there's no lane that I go there and like, yes, we've got priority there. So if you start fights as a jungler, you lose fights as a jungler. So I want them to be looking for Taxer to move in.
Counter gank maybe?
Yeah, maybe, exactly. But still, it's to get in and make sure you know where the jungler for Enclave is at all points in time. If I'm on the side of Enclave, though, you have your pick of the litter. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, if we get Bendy ahead on this Varus, he can do wonders. If we get our Yasuo ahead on Aaron in the mid lane, that could work great. Or maybe we just want to stop Sendo in that top lane from hitting that 2-item spike, where we've got Rift as well, who can do great on Renekton and really punish that pick if he's allowed to get ahead early. So it's very much a case of Enclave have all the cards in their hand, and it's going to be if XL could try and stop them from running away with this one. because they are on his timer.
So here's the time where I actually bring you in for predictions. Very quickly, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you, VP.
Based on this particular, are we going for full series?
Full series right now
series.
because the flip-flop shop is open.
Okay. I'm going to go 3-2 XL. I think it's going to be a very close series. I actually think that Enclave will take this particular game, but I think XL will come back with bigger bite and kind of bring it to a 5-game series. 3-2 XL.
A descriptive prediction there.
I was 100% yesterday.
You were.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 3-1 XL. I actually like the draft that they have this time because Enclave have struggled in finishing out through the mid-game. And I think when you've drafted a team that can just survive through the mid-game and get to a point where they're just stronger later, having Enclave on a timer like this just doesn't play into their favor. So I think I like the draft from XL, and I think XL are going to take it 3-1.
Very interesting. Very interesting, gentlemen. I will keep tabs of this as we go throughout the broadcast.
How's the stock looking on flip-flops?
Right now, pretty low, so there's no point buying because I think you guys are on point. I think we've got a little bit more time before we get into game. There's a pause. Apparently, I have just been let know in my ear that there is a pause right at the start of the game. Wouldn't be UK Esports without a pause at the start of the game. Be right back. My controller's not, my mouse isn't working, but I actually need to go to the loop.
If you had that played with a controller, I'd be impressed.
Or you're just Kasing in the LCS, and every single time you sit down 2 minutes ready for your pick and bans, he goes, "No, I gotta go toilet." And he literally just gets up and leaves, and everyone's like, "All right, bye then."
sounds like King Kasing. Rob, very quickly, win conditions of these two compositions, do you think? Because it's something that we didn't touch on a huge amount. What do you think win conditions are for both sides?
So I kind of touched on already for XL is just a case of delay. Like you outscale pretty much in every single lane. The Vladimir would do incredibly well in the top lane. You just want Sendo to become that big split push menace, and you've got a huge amount of damage that can come through with a Swain and a Vladimir. So if you can just hang on until you hit, those 3 to 4 items, I think you'll be in good shape. If I'm on the side of Enclave, it's going to have to be this early pressure. You want Rift to be dominating Sendo in that top lane. You're going to want Bendy to be pushing up towards those items where you can, and Aaron as well. So you got that big combo we were talking about where they're able to burst through guys and make sure that there's not that healing coming through. And you were saying already the Executioner's Calling would be a great pickup, but that's still a very tanky team to try and get through. So really, I want to see if Enclave push this incredibly heavy in the early game and try and get their lanes ahead so then they can continue pushing that forward.
So I've got a question for you, because XL have drafted what seems to me very good teamfight composition. Like, obviously when you have a Vladimir and a Swain, there's teamfight written all over it. If you go to a strict 5v5 with both squads even pegging, let's say maybe 2 items, that's a good break point, 2.5 maybe. Who do you think strictly mechanically wins these team fights? Do you think that it really depends on what the knockup is like from Alistair? Because both these teams seemingly have decent team fight setups.
Yeah, it's very hard to call because it relies on so many nuances in the fights. So if you're looking at like straight up, like Rift is going to do more than Sendo in a fight, but if Sendo can lock up a key member like Bendy, you've then got a huge amount of CC and damage that can come through. So Bendy gets locked up, you're going to have Swain that can pull him back, you've got the Never Move, you've got Vladimir who's going to be dumping everything in on top of him as well. That can be very hard to deal with.
And just very, very quickly as well, there's a lot of disengage on the side of XL. They've got the Camille ult to separate everyone, they've got the explosive cast again to separate everyone even more, so a lot of ways for them to disengage the fight.
So we're into game, the first of this grand final, our qualifying 2 tournament. It is XL versus Enclave, the battle of the E's, and I've got my Irish casters to take us through it. VP and Gosu, take us away.
Thank you very much, and we'll see who is the lowercase and who is the capital E in this battle of the E's. Or is it the battle of the Rees? We won't know until we see.
Or is it just easy?
Ooh. Then it'll be the battle of the GGs.
We've got too many letters.
Yeah. Well, UK, it's all letters.
Let's just get alphabet soup, throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
But what if it's 2 E's? We still don't know. But we are into game and onto the Rift. It is, of course, XL on the blue side with Enclave on the red. And not expecting too much from either side, but I'm very curious to see where Monkiss goes. We talked about a lot yesterday, his pathing and how he deals stuff, how he's going to deal with these lanes and how he's going to get his lanes ahead, like you said, to that mid-game spike.
And that was something I actually wanted to touch on for Monkus, was the fact that we've kind of seen him go back towards Sejuani. Like, even back in European Masters, he was the, I nearly poked you in the eye there, he was the Sejuani player. And Gragas kind of fits that same style too. So having the Taxer take away that Gragas from Monkus, it kind of leaves him on something that's not as similar to that, but he had a big performance previously on the Trundle, so I'm not surprised. Oh, hang on.
Not exactly going to be able to kill him, but Aaron forced to use his flash in the mid lane. No flash burn on the side of Excel, so that is a summoner gained, and you can imagine the big fat man will be popping in there very, very shortly again.
Yeah, most certainly will be, especially when that's down already. The only thing is you don't have a huge amount of follow from Vladimir right now. He hasn't really hit that damage point quite yet, but definitely if you have the opportunity, you might as well go for it.
Good early pressure already. You see the hook shot being used. Nice win wall there to block damage. Taxer being chased off here by Monkus. A level disadvantage actually for Taxer, so he's in a little bit of an awkward situation. Actually uses his body slam for a little bit of CC. Now Sendu might be in a lot of trouble. Does not have anywhere to go. Not even going to burn the flash. And then it's going to be Monkus picking up the first kill. Exactly what you want on the side of Enclave.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we talked about when we were looking at this pick ban, was if you are on the side of Taxer, you are looking defensive. You're not looking to go overly aggressive, because if you get caught out in a situation like that, you're going to just lose.
I think that was just a real kind of misplay from the side of Taxer as well, because he knew, or the information was out there for the side of Enclave that he was a level down, and you can see, look, he just tries to go a very greedy play to go for the scuttler here.
Yeah, especially when you've just ganked mid, you're going to be down a camp, which means you got the level 2 versus level 3, and it just means that you're in a terrible position already. You can see red buff is keeping him nice and slow, so Monkus can just wail away on him, and it causes Sendo to step entirely out of position and gives over that first blood. And that's exactly what we were talking about, was that if Rift can get ahead in that early game, it's just going to be so difficult for Sendo to stay up in this lane.
And see how Sendo now adapts. Rift still has his flash, and Sendo, importantly for him, did not use his flash, so he still has that away, to kind of get away if he does get ganked again. But now you have no flash on the Gragas. After doing so well, just going mid, getting the flash off Yasuo, it's still a great play, but it's kind of, you need to couple that with the respect. And as I say that, we're going to go to the top side, and we see Monkus coming in again. Hookshot going to get cancelled, and he's actually not quite dead just yet. We're actually going to jump down to the bot side because directed camera doesn't know what it wants us to look at right now as everyone jumps onto Venzer. Bendy trying to do a little bit. They get the ignite, they get the stun, and they get the kill. Ignite is going down though, and Varus will be traded, but it is the kill onto the Varus versus the kill onto the Pike. And that is the big difference there. Funny enough, Sendu did not die.
Yeah, Sendo managed to get out just because of the passive shield coming through, and you can see as well there that it's going to be actually Quickside trying to get in onto Hado, not going to be quite able to connect, but already we can see action in this bottom side of the map. Bendy picking that up early, and the cleanse was used already too, so this is now going to turn into a little bit of a different lane, because he did have a defensive summoner spell there, whereas Venzer is able to teleport, or was teleported even back into lane, so going to be a bit more of an even footing now.
Yeah, lane pushing back into him there, but I can't believe Sendu survived that. That was absolutely crazy. Still staying in the lane because he does not want to leave. It is double Dorans versus double Longsword and a Doran shield. So, arguably Rift, he goes in. Has he got the damage? He does! Like Excoundrel said on the analyst desk there, he's got those empowered WQ. So much damage. Good night.
I was just about to say he needs to be careful. Like, a combo from Renekton would just tear through him, and Sendo does not look hot today at all. After that big Camille performance we saw at him yesterday, we were thinking something similar might happen, but I need to hang on because Venzer.
Oh, Venzer. No flash, no summoners, and nowhere to go.
Oh,
Hado gets caught up, though, and brought back in, but, oh, quick set. One more auto attack would have taken him down, but he does have his flash, gets him safely under the turret. 1-for-1 trade, but again, it's the kill going over onto Bendy. That's important as we go into another quick pause.
And this is where you're going to see Venzer pick up the Relic Shield and just go full support now for the Pike, because Quickset's getting kind of fed, but we're going to be looking at this top lane gank here, and it was very, very close, but you're going to see just the end, the passive shield comes through just here, and it means that he's able to survive the damage that comes through. Oh, okay, so that's what it was.
That's why we went down to bot side. Venzer being very greedy, trying to help out that top lane turret, and oh, you can't do that when there's an Alistair in your lane. It's just not, you're just not allowed.
But there wasn't even like, he didn't try to move away or out of range at all. It was just a case of like, okay, I'm just going to start right now.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, you saved him, but you didn't really, because Sendo just got greedy, and you can see here that Rift was just like, no, I'm just going to pick up the kill easy as he can. So that's 2 kills now over to Bendy. We're already talking about Bendy, who can take over games he's given the opportunity, and something like the Varus. So I was saying that you need the kind of the burst damage if you're looking like the Yasuo to try and get the damage that he wants down, but when you're looking at Bendy, he is the consistent damage, so this is the worst guy you could try and get fed. But yeah, this is it. Like, a single combo just tears through him. And I don't know what Sendo was thinking. Like, I don't play top lane. And even I was like, well, you're close. You can die here.
It was so telegraphed as well, because you could see Rift going over to that wave. He wasn't going to be able to kill it. He was just like, one more stack. Got my empowered, in I go.
That's like classic. I mean, I'm not doing
You're not part of this broadcast.
There you are. Yeah.
That's like classic Renekton.
Yeah.
I mean, that every top laner knows Renekton will do that. You have to expect it. Renekton will slice, W, Q, slice out, dice again. That is just a standard way of Renekton dealing damage, and it happens under turret all the time. This is, I mean, XL are tilted. Don't get me wrong, XL are just a mega tilted right now. And this kind of is what I think Enclave needed to get their win. You know, absolutely get their win. If Enclave continue from this, they've got a dominant laning phase already. XL are on the back foot. Sendo specifically is struggling here, which, to be honest, was a mistake from Taxa. I think we're back in the game, though.
Yeah.
So
yes,
I will let you guys carry on. But it was a mistake from Taxa that baited Sendo in. And now Sendo, I think, and Sendo tilts as well, by the way. Sendo does tilt. XL need to steady the ship.
Yeah, they really do. And there's your ex-scoundrel analysis jumping in very quickly to tell us everything that is, most likely going to happen. As I say that, though, Monkus, he's being very, very active right now. Hemoplate goes down defensively, flash in, ignite used. There's the knock up there with the combo. They may be able to get a little bit here. Hado comes in out of nowhere. Another ignite goes down onto Rippy, but now Taxer with no flash is just trying to get anything out of this. He will not be able to escape, and Aaron is the one to pick up a kill. Kills in every single lane. Enclave are just owning the Rift right now.
Yeah, and there's just more and more holes opening up in the ship that is Excel. There's no righting this at all. It's just the whole thing has gone topsy-turvy. They need to find some way of doing it, and this was what I was talking about. It was just take it easy, guys. You don't want to be trying to push in aggressively to go for these plays. Just wait, scale, and you'll be in a happy place. Instead, they've decided to go to the dredges, go to the bottom. No vision control whatsoever to try and keep themselves safe from what Monkus has just been running amok on the map on this Trundle. I don't know where the game plan went to. It all just seemed to just, as Xandra was saying, tilt the second it was Sendo who went down in the top lane.
And this is why I brought up the Bendy point about he has yet to really be, 100% kind of 100% kind of, engaged on or kind of, toe-to-toe with someone as such. He doesn't really have any kind of competition right now because of plays like this. Venzer, that's, just keeping up top lane for no real apparent reason, as we see top side. Rift doesn't really mind. That's a Vladimir. He knows there's a honey fruit there that he can take himself, and he will get himself nice and healthy. Fun little fact that actually stacks his rage, which I quite like. Yeah, it's a little thing that I actually find quite fun about Renekton. It means that you get like a little extra little bonus. See, just popped up.
This fruit makes me so angry.
It actually shows that fruits make you healthy. Healthy diet keeps you strong. Yeah.
I mean, it does build fury though, so I'm like...
Yeah. I mean, like, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah. We are going to be waiting to see, though, how the rest of this plays out. And I'm just loving how aggressive Monkus has been in this early game. This is exactly what he needed to do. And I wasn't sure how he was going to do on something that... Oh, there we go.
This combination is so damn dangerous for the side of XL because you get a very slight knock-up if you land the Trundle Pillar of Ice so very... narrowly right on top of them, and it just knocks them up. And honestly, right now, like Taxer, it's looking like his Nocturne game yesterday.
Yeah. There's just nothing that he's able to do, and he's just been caught out right, left, and center. And this is where we were just like defensive, defensive, defensive. Instead, he's trying to go aggressive. Now feels that because they're far behind, he has to be the hero. He has to make the big play, get them back into us. And Monkus is catching him out time and time again. Like, look where their vision is. He knows everything that's going on.
The problem right now is that the items that the side of, XL have to pick up are so not great at all. You've got double Doran's Blade on Sendu on that top side versus a Phage. Like, it's just not... What is he going to do there? He loses every trade regardless. It's just... The health is going to keep him a little bit healthy. That's about it. He is now 20 CS, nearly 25 CS behind this Renekton, almost nearly 30 CS behind this Renekton. It is not looking good. And look where Monkus is right now. There's no vision. They can go again for this.
Yeah, it's going to be Rift tanking it up, and it's just going to be easy pickings.
You say that though, Hextech Ultimatum does get him a lot of time, but they're able to juggle the aggro very, very nicely. And Enclave are looking so good. Sendu, we talked about how he was the solid top laner. Rifty looks like he's back in top lane like yesterday.
And this actually reminds me of the Monkus that we saw during European Masters. He looked so good on the Trundle pick there. He was like, we were singing his praises throughout, and now we see it coming through again. 3-0-2, he's been everywhere so far, and Enclave coming out absolutely swinging.
First brick solo gold going over to the Renekton. As you see Sendu, like, he has no vision. There's literally nothing there. He has no idea.
Yeah, and you can see he's like, there's something going on here. Like, look how far back he's playing. He just wants to pick up one or two, and there it is.
Yeah, goes in, tries to get the Hextech Ultimatum. It does give him a little bit of time, but the pillar just about knocking him out. That was very nicely played there from Monkus. Kept it for the very last second, knowing the hook shock was available. And then, good night, Sendu. There's not a lot you can do. But, silver lining for XL, they do find a little bit of a lull when TP, or from people, a lot of Enclave go back. They pick themselves up a Mountain Drake, which, if you're looking for a very desperate Baron attempt, will help you out.
Yeah, I will help out a little bit, but I think the biggest issue right now is that Renekton is going to go pick up that Rift Herald, and if I'm Rippy, then I'm terrified of being in this mid lane, because it's going to be so easy for Enclave to start shoving in the wave in top lane and just transferring behind him. And yes, you're Vladimir, yes, you've got that safety of the pool, but by God, you don't want to put up with Monkus, Aaron, and Rift arriving in your lane.
The big thing there that I wanted to just know from Rifty there, he could have went on to the Camille knowing how far ahead. He's got a fully completed Black Cleaver and 2 longswords versus Ninja Tabi. That's literally all he has. But he respects the fact that he doesn't have the vision control, he doesn't know where anyone on the side from XL was, and he backs away. And I like to see that kind of tempered play as such coming in, as Hado gets caught by the Bone Skewer, will get his Aftershock to get him a little bit tanky, and just back away. They can't even take him down, there's no damage.
Yeah, and I mean, what were you really going to do if you did take him down? I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to get a kill, but Taxer and Quicksand are not really the ones to get it. There was no movement from Rippy in the mid lane, so chances are you're just going to end up giving over kills rather than actually picking much up. There we go. That's the sound of the Rift Herald going over. That's going to be in the hands of Taxer. And I mean, this is just kind of Enclave starting to run away with it, but this is the thing now. This is the Enclave that we've seen time and time again. They come in incredibly strong in the early game. They look fantastic. We're like, this is the easy win for Enclave until we hit that midpoint. This is where I want to see what they can do. How do they continue to transition this into wins? It's looking great at the moment, but they have been known to slow down, particularly trying too long to get vision around that Baron, and it hasn't worked out for them. I'm hoping this time around Enclave can kind of find their stride.
Yeah, we see actually the ultimate used there by the Renekton, explosive cast as well. He flashes in, doesn't quite get the slice, so will not have a dice, as Sendu has just been kind of left to deal with it. He wouldn't really win that matchup, but fortunately for XL, Rippy was on the rotation up, forces Rift to go back, and that's going to be bot lane turret, knowing the 3 people are topside.
Yeah, it looked like a split as well, because Enclave had Aaron wandering down towards that bottom lane. They want this bottom lane turret. Monkus, though, taking up that tower damage.
Yeah, it does take a little bit. Has got the Cinder Hulk on his enchantment, I do believe. Yes, he does, and also the red buff, so we'll be doing a lot of just passive damage as such, so very hard for him to stay under tower. As Aaron now pushing up into that mid lane, he's got himself a 15 CS lead in what, you know, has been a relatively kind of quiet part of the map despite all of Monkus' moves.
Yeah, the Hex Drinker will delay him a little bit, but not by much, actually. Hang on.
Oh, as you see that, Hado, though, gets the re-engage. They force the flash out of the Pike and the Demon Flare from Venzer, so that's a big defensive ultimate down from Venzer. He won't be able to use that as a deterrent, and look who's down in that bot side.
Yeah, exactly. Monkus is showing his face. That means Taxer has to stay here because Quickset can't really hold on to this turn now. He's flashless, and with the Demon Flare down from Venzer as well, they are very diveable in the bottom lane. They do have the stopwatch available though, so may not want to over-aggress too much, but it still gives them the options to play about with, whereas in the top lane, Rift is still just taking over. 40 CS ahead. There's just nothing he can do. There's the Hextech Ultimatum, but it's just not quite close enough. And Sendu, you need to be so close. He flashes anyway. And Rift is just having the time of his life because there is nothing and no one who can deal with him. 100% win rate in LCS. This is not the kind of play that I expect from Sendo.
Get riffed on LCS. That's what this is telling me.
But this is what I mean. Like, look at the comparison that we saw yesterday, where it was tooth and nail between him and Flaxish, and Sendo eventually managed to come out on top. But this just looks completely different. This is what Dan XD looked like yesterday.
It really, really does. And Aaron, though, getting caught out, will have to try and back away. Has got flash available, maybe using it. Yep, does get the knock up. Actually, no, he does not. Now TVs are going to come in. They're maybe going to try and re-engage on this, but Gragas and on the explosive cast. Here comes a TP though from Rift. You're big, but you're not 5v1 big. And they all have to back away. While that was happening on top side and in mid lane turret went down, bot lane turret went down. So all 3 outer turrets have been depleted, which means even more vision is going to have to go out in your own side of your jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very difficult now for Excel to try and keep themselves safe under these turrets as well, because Enclave will be able to move around very, very fast. You've got that vision already down, and it's quite easy for them to look for a dive down onto Venzer if he's on his own, push Rippy back away from these turrets, and Taxer is in no place to try and hold on to it. He doesn't have the items to be tanky right now. He's another victim that can fall prey of Rift.
Yeah, we actually see Taxer up here as well, though, so Sendu not exactly by himself, but when you're looking at a, Renekton this fed, it's kind of hard to see how they come back into it, because even if Taxer goes up there, he doesn't have the explosive cast right now, so he wouldn't be able to fully disengage, and if they get caught with the amount of damage that the Renekton has, it's just going to be a bad time. Yeah,
and this is exactly what we saw from the from Quickset and Venzer yesterday, where the dive potential that you have with an Alistair and a Yasuo are just so high, particularly when you've got Trundle, who's got ultimate to follow up, and the subjugate would keep him so tanky, and you've got Rift who can just come through as well, lock up for days. This is looking really desperate for Excel, and this is where I'm going to look to see if Enclave can continue pushing forward. This is exactly the point in time where we start to see them struggle. And yes, they're doing the right thing now. It's going to lull for a little bit where they get the vision control. The easier objectives that are on the map are all down. Those outer turrets, your Rift Heralds, your Dragons. So maybe this Dragon in 30 seconds can force Excel out, or Quickset could go for it.
Yeah, Quickset trying to find a bone skewer, but it is not all desperation from the side of XL. They have got that Rod of Ages onto their Swain, which is stacking. That is going to become fairly, notable in the next 5 minutes or so once it's fully stacked. They are only, as I say that though, Riff maybe have been gotten caught. He does try and pop the dominance to try and get himself a little bit more time, but Haddo jumps in as well, but Taxer is the first one to fall in this.
He's still alive!
He's still going and fairly healthy. There's a chain of corruption there onto Venzer, and there's nowhere for him to go. It's a 2-for-nothing trade, which was supposed to be a pick, and Enclave, there's nothing you can do. Enclave are just too far ahead.
Yeah, Rift is so big right now, and all that needed was Haddo. There was Bendy who eventually arrived up, but they'd already picked up the kill. They were already out, and they're like, do you know what, actually, I fancy myself one more. Bendy even throws down the chains of corruptions. And Enclave, we just said, oh, it might be a little bit of a lull because there's no easy objectives. Well, how about XL just hand them to him on a plate?
Yeah, and you can see, look at Rift right now. He's just keeping Sendu away. He hasn't even got ultimate, and he's still just being so dominant because he's got so much regen with that red buff, so much damage with that black cleaver stacking along with the Tiamat. Sendu has a sheen. And it's a horribly desperate situation. He's 60 CS down. He's 4 deaths on his tab. And I was just trying to give a little bit of positive note towards XL because it's not quite over, but Venzer doesn't need to be fighting there. No one needs to be fighting there. You need to just literally calm down. Like you said, no massive easy objectives. Yes, you could have given away a Infernal Drake, but it's not exactly the end of the world. You just relax and calm down. Give yourself hopefully 10 minutes, and then you're more relevant.
But look at the teams, the deaths that are pretty much across the board in Excel. 0-4 Sendo, 1-3 Taxer, 0-3 on Venzer. These are not the scored lines that we were expecting Excel to put up at any point in time during this tournament, let alone when you're in the finals against Enclave.
Enclave, though, not to take away from them, have played this beautifully. And Monkiss has been the MVP so far for me. He has done so much work in such a small space of time. He has been able to be in every lane, influence every lane, and snowball every lane.
Yeah, he's also the other birthday boy that we have this week, so this could be a nice little birthday week for him if he ends up picking up this win as well.
I hope Enclave give him a little bit more, a pound more of the prize pool if they win. Just here's an extra pound, happy birthday.
Get yourself a water on us.
Yeah, we'll see you at scrims. Don't be late.
But no, I mean, they have been absolutely outstanding this time around, and that's what I was posing the question at the beginning was, how would Monka step up to the plate? And by God, has he answered it. I mean,
he's not stepped up to it, he's taken it.
Yeah, he's taken it, he's gone with it, and it's just
like, it's my birthday and this is my plate.
You will respect me.
You will respect my authority.
Put some respect on it.
Yeah.
But here comes Rift, he's going to jump onto Rippy, and I mean, this is just another person on XL who cannot keep up with Rift. He will just tear through this Vladimir. Yes, the sustain is nice, but you just do not have anything that can try and keep up with him.
The big risk right now for the side of XL, I feel like, yes, they can still wait, and that is kind of the game plan from right now, but an incredibly quick Baron from Enclave is very much on the cards. You've got so much AD just to be able to shred
even
through
percentage
it.
health.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got so many ways of just kind of taking it down, as Hado does get hit by the Bone Score. There's a lot of people here. Has got the ultimate to keep him a little bit alive, a little bit of tankiness, but there's the explosive cast. He's still alive. Chain the Corruption onto Taxer, who has to go golden on the backside. Sendu trying to go in with the Hextech ultimatum, and everyone's just trying to jump in on top of this Varus. Hado eventually goes down to the pike, gets the bounty gold. Ignite not quite enough to kill off this Bendy, but he's so close. He gets another Ignite swag, if you like. Gragas does go down, but Aaron now coming out the backside. Venzer, though, is not a target you want. This could be the fight for XL, as Enclave really trying to make something happen. They've only lost 1 for 2. Rifty doesn't really have anyone to kind of jump on right now. As I say that, though, he does get the push in. He gets the splash. Oh, Venzer, that was clutch, but he might have pushed himself into a little bit of a bad situation as Monkiss comes in, as does Aaron. Unfortunately, it was well played, but only to a certain extent, and that is a big wave in the mid lane that's going to be pushed in from Enclave.
And there was no better way that fight really could have kicked off for XL. It was 3v, I think 4 until eventually the 5th arrived, but realistically they had all the cards in their hand and they couldn't do anything with it. But actually, looking here, Sendo might be able to pick off Aaron.
Aaron saying far too long and just going to be sacrificed to the pike. He gets himself 5-0-1 on the pike. And Rippy, though, he's forced to go into the Sanguine pool to get himself out. Okay, this is exactly what you were talking about. Enclave dropping the ball in the mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, the kills going across, it kind of works out a little bit even, but you can see here, like, this is 4 members for XL all grouped up in the mid lane. They commit a huge amount to try and take down Hado, which they can't, until Sendo eventually arrives up. They jump onto Bendy. That's all well and good, but look how long it takes them to get through everybody here. It's only really at the end of the game, or at the end of the fight, where they're starting to look dangerous. Then you've got Rift and Aaron who end up joining the rest of the fight, and that's where it starts to turn around. No matter how much they commit to this fight, no matter, even though it's a 3v5, XL just couldn't find the win that they really wanted, and it ends up being such a long and drawn out fight as well. Like, that was, what, another minute and a half before you saw the other members of, like, Aaron being picked off as well. Like, you can see both sides are being a little bit sloppy, but XL just couldn't quite get the fight that they wanted there.
At the end of the day, though, it is still 2 kills, which is, or sorry, even, excuse me, 3 kills, which went over. So that is a massive amount of gold.
But look,
that they just didn't happen. Yeah, I was just about to say, it's like, unfortunately, it goes on to the pike. So if all things are said and done, Quickset, he's having a fantastic game. You know, he's happy. He's got his frozen heart, but unfortunately, he needs the rest of his team to start catching up. But you know, again, we don't want to be going too hard because Enclave, known for having really poor mid-games, that was an example of it. Rift actually had his teleport, decided not to use it, to walk up. It delayed him for a good 25 seconds to get in. Taxer forced to back away. Hado, you don't want to get caught out again as the Predator has been popped by Rippy. But look at the items now. Zonya's finally finished up onto the Swain. You've got the Void Staff onto the Vladimir. You've got the Triforce eventually done onto Sendu. So now they actually have ways of coming into this game.
But this is the thing. If you're looking at Sendo, he still wants that Ravenous Hydra as well. He wants, you know, more items than just that singular Triforce. Because look at his counterpart. You've got the Titanic Hydra, you've got that Black Cleaver, and Essence Reaver is coming along very, very shortly as well. So this is going to be an angry, angry crocodile that will be chomping his way through any lane he decides to go to. So if I'm looking at XL, your win condition right now is again trying to delay, but it's starting maybe to come together. You can see that Swain is starting to get to the items. We're already talking about how crucial the Zonyas are going to be in these fights, but the biggest issue that I see is this on-hit Varus is in great spot right now. He's starting to go up towards his 3rd item, and he's going to be dishing out a whole chunk of damage. So even if you start to now get through the initial burst, which is going to be a tough one, don't get me wrong, you still got to deal with Bendy on the back line.
Rift has no magic resistance, and that is very significant when you're going up against a Void Staff Proto Build Vladimir. He can chunk you down even with your dominance going off. As I say that though, may have just been caught out, and look at the damage straight away. Now they're going to try and turn it. They pop the Ignite down on top of him. They have got the teleport coming in off the side as well. That was the damage I was talking about. However, as you can see in the picture, they're taking the inhibitor.
And you just handed Enclave a good mid-game. You lost the inhibs. This is exactly where they were struggling. How do we try and crack open the base? We dance around Baron for ages. We can't really find our opening. And now they've committed 2 members to top lane, and Enclave go, well, wham bam, thank you ma'am. We're going to grab that inhib. We're going to grab the dragon. And yeah, you can have a tier 1. We don't really care.
2 tier 1s. It's a lot of gold.
It's still 2
It is comparatively. If you're taking that trade of giving a second Infernal as well as mid lane inhibitor over to a team that has yet to take Baron, yes, not exactly the most ideal situation.
And 2 Infernals for this team as well, where you've got a Yasuo, you've got the Renekton. Like, these are champs that do so well with an Infernal Drake, and you've now handed over 2, possibility of a 3rd, because I really don't see how Excel can try and get in and stop them taking that another objective.
I think what you're looking at right now inside of Excel is you're just hoping and praying that Enclave just do something stupid around Baron, because that's the next move for Enclave. And Enclave could, we've seen it before, could potentially do, not exactly with Enclave, but with other teams in the tournament. Baron is like the biggest way that you come into this. If you're able to steal it and get out safely with maybe 3 members of your team having that Baron buff, you delay for another 6 minutes, which is fantastic for you, which gets you that 3rd item or 2nd item.
But it's going to be so much harder for Excel now that they got that mid-inhib gone. I would have 100% been like, yep, that's how Enclave do it, that's how they get through this. But the thing is, having that mid-inhib means you have to commit at least 1 person to try and control that. Sendo doesn't have the teleport up. Venzer, yes, does, but he's not great at clearing out these super creeps. You really want someone with that AD damage, and that kind of falls on Sendo's head because the draft Excel have gone for.
See how they go for, as we say, Enclave going towards that Baron now, trying to set them up. The split push very much in effect for the side of XL. No teleport available for Sendu, so it's going to be Venzer who has to go onto that, kind of harping back to what we mentioned yesterday, that the teleport nerfs now up from 300 seconds to 360, and also the nerf onto the cooldown, which goes from 200 to 240. So using teleport has become a little bit less of a, you know, an easy thing for you, as we see this rolling death squad of Enclave rolling in, trying to find something and try and catch out someone that will literally, anyone dies, I feel like, on the side of XL right now, game's over.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is why I'm trying to look closely at the minimap and see where the movement and the vision is for Enclave right now, because this is kind of how we saw them set up for Baron yesterday. The only thing is now the Rift still has towers on the outer lanes that he can take, so this is why we're seeing very little resistance from Excel on this bottom lane turret, because they want to try and keep themselves safe from Baron, because if that goes down and Enclave are this far ahead, they just win. Sendo, you need to get out of there.
Yeah, Sendu needs to leave pretty damn quick, and while that's all been happening, Baron has been started. They now know Sendu, with no teleport, if they are tracking that, is down in the bot side. They have teleport onto Rift, so there's not really a lot they can do. Now they just turn straight away onto Taxi, who splashes away. Very nicely done. Good explosive cast, but that's going to be Vladimir going into the pool straight away. Chains of Corruption have been used as well, as Aaron is searching for blood. He wants to get the kill. He will get the kill. There's the Hextech ultimatum on the bot side, and we talked about it. Sendu cannot deal with this Renekton, and that's going to be 2 kills. They can turn straight back onto the Baron, take the high percentage play, and look to end this game.
Yeah, and Rift is on the bottom side as well. I mean, he's picked up the kill. It's going to be him running back up to join the team. Enclave have picked up the Baron. They're picking up the kills around the map, and Excel are crumbling underneath them.
Great, cohesive, strong call right there. You saw it immediately. It was straight away. As soon as we see Dragus, turn. It wasn't even like a half call.
And it was so different from what we saw yesterday, where they were pitter-pattering around the place. They didn't know, do we go, do we stay? I don't know, we don't have like 100% vision. And they were just like, no. Instantly, the decisiveness from Enclave was what was missing from their games previously, and this is exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, and Quickset as well. You can kind of see that the call is a little bit kind of, you know, halfway from XL, because Quickset's going on the back. He's looking just for vision, whereas the rest of the team look like they're kind of coming in to contest. I feel like you wait a couple of seconds for the vision to go down. You know the Baron's not in a fully takeable position, and then you try and fight it on XL. But unfortunately, they just can't do anything. They get completely caught out, and they burn everything for nothing.
Yeah, and I love the way they went into this fight as well, whereas Monk is zoning 3 people. It was Bendy and Aaron who were chasing down alongside Haddo onto Rippy, and once they knew that, look, Aaron can just kill him, Grant, the other 2 run back and they join with Monkus to finish off the rest of the fight and keep themselves nice and topped up and healthy. So Enclave, great decision making, great calls, and a cohesion that we haven't really seen come out of them before is well on display right now.
Rift has Flame, Horizon, Sendu, and there is a very scared Sendu hook-shotting the hell out of there, because what is he going to do? Yes, he's nearly got his Titanic Hydra, but it's not going to do much for him. And Inhibitor has respawned in the mid lane, so that's a little bit of a positive right now. They need to go for a last-ditch effort fight right now, because if they don't kill off 3 members of Enclave, they cannot delay this game, and they just lose.
And I gotta put the question down onto the Gragas pick here for Taxer. He hasn't looked the most comfortable, and it hasn't been the engages, but here comes one anyway.
Here we go. Gragas goes in with the belly slam. They're trying to go in on top of this explosive blast. Completely misses, and now Aaron maybe in a lot of trouble. He actually gets taken down first. Renekton, though, in this top side. This could be pretty good for the side of XL if they can just take down the people quickly, but Varus does so much damage. They lose a 1 person for 2, but Rift is just in the mid lane. He's able to take out so much damage into this base. Now they have to back away. They still have Baron buffs on this bot side. I don't know what the side of XL can do right now. If they try and engage on this guy, I feel like he can take him.
Yeah, he's gonna go for it anyway. Rift does so much damage!
Literally what I was just about to say. I was like, no one can go in on this guy because he's gonna die, or they're just gonna die straight away. They will eventually be able to combo him down. They get the shutdown onto him. He will eventually fall, but he's done his job. It's a good fight for XL, but they lose everything.
The base is in shambles for XL right now. They're scrambling to try and pick up some sort of victory. Instead, they're just looking at runes left around them. Enclave know that they can give up the kills when they're just going to take everything out from underneath XL.
Yeah, Monk is most likely going to be able to take this Mountain Drake as well. See in the picture, and XL, like, it was a good fight. They got what they wanted, but unfortunately with Rift on top side, because of the amount of literal OP damage he's got right now, he destroys turrets.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely insane play coming out from Rift. Sendo hasn't stood a chance since literally level 3, and it's just been all about Rift time and time again. And he's gonna been we were talking about Bendy. Rift these semis and finals has just been a standout performance. Just taking over games right, left, and center, and not only against like top laners that were like, okay, whatever, it's gonna be against the likes of Sendo.
So, let's gather ourselves right now, because we are now coming up to 32 minutes into the game. That's fairly late. Items are starting to get finished up. XL have not lost, and this is where I feel like, you know, obviously, yes, the Sendu's Camille is very much behind, but the Vladimir's got items. The Death Clap has been finished. That is a huge spike in damage. Swain has got the Void Staff complementing onto his Rod of Ages. You've got the Black Cleaver onto the Pike, which I know sounds a bit silly, but it is very significant because it just shreds the armor. There is a very real situation where XL just take a perfect team fight and wipe Enclave. Enclave need to play with a lot of respect, and they also need to play with a lot of smarts because they do not need to get caught out right now.
But this is the thing, like, yes, they're winning team fights, but there's no point in time we're ever going to have Enclave grouped all together. It's going to be Rift down on the bottom side.
Hope.
Well, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised, because, I mean, you've got Bear inhibs right now. There's no real reason for you to try and take it. You just go in, march forward as 4. You have Rift on the bottom side who's just proven that he's near unstoppable at this point, and then you can take both of those inhibs.
Rift? Does he not know? Sterix and Mauve Magmortius.
Oh yeah,
that was a very long time ago, Rift. You cannot stack those things together. So Rift now in a very interesting build path where one of his items actives is kind of useless. Which honestly, I know it sounds kind of funny. I mean, we're probably trying to hype up XL coming back into this, you know, a little bit much, but those kind of small mistakes can lead, like for example, if he doesn't get the health and he ends up getting the shield first, that's huge. He does not get that massive amount of AD shield that he needs, and Death Bush not quite going to work because they've got Squire's Blue, or Squire Orbs.
Yeah, this is going to be unfortunate. I think I actually would have preferred to see a GA coming out from Rift right now. Like, here, look, I'm hard to take down once. Why not try and do it a second time? But here we can see actually Enclave. I like this setup from them. They're in a line, essentially just working their way through the map, and now they can start to push through together. And Excel are being drawn 2 different directions, and it's very easy for Rift in this position to find a flank on the back line.
Maybe find a flank. Chain of Corruption comes out. There's the explosive cast on the backside as well. Rift actually goes in with Rippy as well. They use the Chemo Plague as well, but there's just too much damage on this Renekton. Pike brings him in, but I don't think that's what he wanted. It's a double kill. Alistair takes up the Swain off on the backside. Inhibitor goes down. They try to jump in onto Aaron. There's a Hextech ultimatum, but Swendu just trying to pad his stats a little bit. It ends up being a 4-for-1 trade, and it is going to be game 1 of this best of 5 final going over to Enclave in emphatically comfortable style.
Yeah, that looked like child's play for Enclave. This was not only was it not the Enclave I expected, it's also not the Excel that I expected. These 2 teams look night and day different from what we've seen before, and congratulations to Enclave. Like, they just ran away with it.
I think the one thing I took away from that game was it was classic Excel when they're losing. They tilt hard, and I think they lost the game, level 3 top lane.
Yeah.
They lost the game there because Sendo tilted, he got killed solo by Renekton. Like literally a gold level Renekton play killed him under tower, and this guy is one of the best top laners. So you could tell he was definitely not playing at his optimum level. Then the rest of Excel constantly you saw it time and time again, searching for engages they didn't need to make because they felt they had some sort of mountain to climb to get back into the game, when they probably could have just tried to play it safe, given up a few objectives here and there where they could, not took silly engages, and just tried to farm as best as physically possible.
We wanted to see Venzer and Bendy in this kind of like massive hype up match, and you know, we see a couple of the kills here from Sendu, but Venzer did literally nothing on this Swain. It wasn't a power pick, it wasn't something that kind of, you know, looked super comfortable for him, and once he kind of fell behind after that really silly teleport play against an Alistair that you really cannot do, he just kind of fell into the shadows, and it was like, oh, I need to farm, oh, I can't do anything, oh, I need to farm, I can't do anything, and he never engaged. There was never a time where he was looking for a kill, and I feel like XL need to put him onto something more standard or more traditional.
But I think that does come back to the mental that you were talking about. Like, these are amateur mistakes that they're making from players that shouldn't be at that level. Like, teleporting at that point shouldn't be it. So
in full view.
Exactly. For me, that screams that, oh, okay, Sendo is screaming for someone to help him out, screaming for the teleport, and Benzer's like, I gotta answer this, not thinking about where he's positioned, what's going on, and it is just coming back to that mentality of them letting the game slip away from him.
I won't lie, Sendo was battering Rifty up until the point that Taxa turned up a level behind Monkeys. There was a point in that level 3 engage where Taxa turned onto Monkeys and actually started dueling him.
Yeah.
Instead of just
level 2
instead
versus
of
level
trying
3.
to just get out of that fight. Then Sendu came down, felt like he had to help. The flash came over the wall, and suddenly Sendu was stuck between Rifty and Monkeys and got battered. And that's what eventually let that tilt happen. And then EXO were playing catch-up for the whole game against a team when we very early on said, if they get a hold in the laning phase, this team wins. And they did. They got a hold of the laning phase, and they just dominated from that point forward. I think you're going to the draft of the next game, you can't ban Rifty. Rifty plays everything, and plays everything quite well. He took a matchup that was decent-ish for him. It really shouldn't have been that dominant for him versus Camille. And he actually just ran away with the game. And because he required so much attention, and because he was solo-killing Camille, and was causing such an issue on the top side of the map, the rest of the map fell apart as well. I agree with your point wholeheartedly about Swain. I did give out the wonderful stat that in solo queue, in my solo queue experience, Swain has got a 0% win rate. So I'm glad to see that Swain bot lane has got a 0% win rate.
I'd say XL are glad they didn't do that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think Venza needs to be on something more impactful, or what feels directly impactful for him. I think traditional AD carries are great for Venza. I think Yasuo is great for Venza, and I do think Aaron's Yasuo was a big contributor to the success of this team, and maybe prioritizing the Swain isn't that big of a deal.
If I'm looking at Excel though, there was one guy who just kind of actually stood out to me was Quickset. Quickset actually had a very good game on this Pike, and I think if you're looking for something to rally around, I think you got to look towards him. I mean, he is the shot caller on Excel, and he's the guy that you're looking for the standard performance on to try and be like, look guys, we can keep it together. Steady the ship, yeah. And he was the guy who kind of had that.
I think Quickset is a great player, and we saw him in EU Masters. He had a really good time. He played in Origin in the Challenger Series qualifiers previously, had a lot of experience at that level. Quickset is a really solid support player, and I agree, he had a really good performance moments on the Pyke. I mean, he was just executing kills, which is what Pyke does, but he was also keeping himself safe. He wasn't tilting, wasn't feeding. And I have talked to Quickseth when I was talking to him during the EU Masters, and I said, you know, how do you stop your team from tilting? How do you feel when you're losing? And he said, I never get stressed. Never in a million years do I get stressed. I know that I have to be solid and dependable so that my team can rely on me. And you saw that, I think, in this game with the way that he played.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, the rest of his team have to kind of go with that mentality.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can almost imagine the conversation between him and Venzer is just like, you know, Sendu screaming for a teleport, and he just internally screaming like, don't do it, don't do it. It's like, we don't need this right now. And he's like, I'm going to do it. Presses the key, and then it's just like, oh, crap.
The challenge for XL now is, and especially for the backroom staff, because they are all in that gaming house, calm them down. Between these games, go back, reset. You're on red side now. You have that ability to counter pick top lane if you want to, because Rifty is going to have to show his hand first. And I feel like, for me, that is that crucial lane that we're looking at. That needs to be the one where Sendu gets something good, because they need to untilt very quickly. Otherwise, I could very easily see this now being a steamroller Enclave 3-0.
I really want to see Venzer go back onto what he's comfortable with.
Kai'Sa, like it was open, like it was really good for him.
Ezreal as well.
Yeah.
Ezreal, like something that just isn't traditional ADC. He hasn't looked overly comfortable on anything like the Vladimir, definitely not the Swain now as well, and I just want to see him go back and really just be the Venzer that we know, the carry for XL, and I haven't seen that.
I will be honest, I thought Rippy looked okay on Vladimir that game.
Yeah?
For a really tough game, I think Rippy looked good. We're going to go to a very quick break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we'll be jumping into picks and bans of the next game between XL and Enclave. Enclave currently 1-0 up.